Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here alongside Coach LLEONG on Twitter. Go hit that follow button for my main man, Lyle Leong. And hey, shout out to Leveland for winning last Friday night. Lyle won't take any, he won't brag about himself, but I'll brag for him. On today's podcast, we're going to discuss what the hell needs to change for Texas Tech. And Lyle and I, we ranted a little bit at each other on the Twitter spaces, but for those that aren't on Twitter, X, I'm never going to call it that, unironically, Lyle. We're going to have a couple today, though, in terms of rants, because yesterday's video, I had a good rant. People responded. Some people didn't like it. Some people loved it. You know how that goes, Lyle. But I'm not quite done. But before we do that, I want the people to let us know, what does Texas Tech have to change to get back on track? We'll give our opinion through this probably 45-minute long conversation. I'm sure I'll curse more than I need to, but that's just how I do things, Lyle. But before we do that, people, let us know, what does Texas Tech have to change most to get their season back on track? All right, Lyle, how you doing, man?
Oh man, blessed to be in your presence, Friday was a good night. Saturday wasn't a great day. Wasn't a great day for the Red Raider Nation, but also shout out to the Mountaineers, man. So
Yeah, you got ties both ways. That was a win-win for you, I guess, in some respectives.
really my heart was hurt, but shout out to Coach Brown. Like I said, people forget he was our OC. And for me, like I said, man, I got nothing but love for him. So, the most touchdowns I scored in my career was when he was the OC. So he made those calls. I mean, he's gonna find people that can make plays and try to get him the ball. So I'm happy for Coach Brown and also Coach Chad Scott. Also is out there, coach at Texas Tech for a little bit. Also Coach Moore, Matt Moore, coach at Texas Tech. So it's a really connected game there. And like I said, I wish Tech would have came out on top, but for him to go down, for me personally, I'm glad it's West Virginia. If anybody else, though.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I hated it. But I don't have the ties like you do. This is going to be an interesting podcast, I think, Lyle, from a lot of perspectives, because I think there's going to be a lot of disagreeing between me and you, and I think that that's what makes this podcast great. Is you view things one way, I view things the other. We can always disagree. There's sometimes we agree, but this one, I think we're probably going to disagree quite a bit. So if you haven't already, people, like the video, hit that subscribe button, stay in the know on Texas Tech all year long. This is what you subscribe for, because I think Lyle and I are going to go back and forth civilly.
Mm-hmm.
Civilly. Okay. No block or mute button is needed. Okay. On this one. No, because I'll be honest with you, Lyle. After that Tyler Shough injury, by the way, people, type TS12 down in the comments. Show Tyler some love for that brutal injury. Like, I saw some things on my Twitter, Lyle. I don't break out the block button often, but man, I was going through it on Saturday afternoon. I probably blocked, no joke, about 30 to 35 people. There were some disgusting things like, come on, man. TS12 doesn't deserve that. That's not the way anybody should go out. It's just a brutal injury. He's had brutal injury luck. I mean, what, 2 collarbones, the fibula. Bro, again, you played football at a much higher level than I did. I would love to hear your perspective. This man broke his fibula the play before, came out, and then tried to throw a pass on it. Like, just warrior type shit, man.
Yeah, nah, man. Like I said, that's a feel for that man. So no matter how you feel, no matter what you think, that's that guy's career. That's that guy's future on the line. So I know a lot of people don't think that far, but I mean, this is he's auditioning to go to the next level. That's why he came back thinking that he would have a great year, this, that, and the other. So it puts a damper on it. For me, I thought he was after the first games, I wouldn't say first round draft pick, but I thought he's a third to maybe fifth round draft pick if finish off the season. And with the injury like that and having the injuries that he's had, he's probably dropping from 3 to 5 to free agent. And so for those of you who don't know, first rounds, couple million, second rounds, lower million, third rounds, upper thousands, fourth, fifth, probably lower thousand. sixes, probably 50,000, 60,000, then undrafted.
Make the team.
Yeah, undrafted signing bonuses. Like I said, for me, when I got drafted, mine was 10,000, and I was the first free agent taken by the Cowboys, and mine was 10,000. I got paid more than any other free agent. So it's not always about money, but it's his career, and also that's a big chunk of money that he lost, and also maybe an opportunity to lose. So we got to keep that in mind. And like I said, he's a warrior for going out there. I love to see how Coach McGuire showed him love like that. I thought that's freaking awesome because there's a lot of coaches that don't care like that. And so no matter what you guys think and say about Coach McGuire, like a coach that cares is awesome because I played for some guys and I've worked with some guys that don't care. And it's the next person up and they don't go out there um, and do all that. You know, I've had coaches that say, hey, move the drill down. And we literally move the drill down and keep it pushing. And so it's just cool to see that he has a relationship. He's appreciative for what Tyler has done for this program. And I think in hindsight, um, once he's gone, and it's one of those things we always talk about. You never notice somebody or pay attention to someone until it's gone. Like, you know, I feel like it's going to be
Yep.
like that with LeBron. There's so much hate. The day he's not there, everybody's going to be like, dang, he was. And so I think in perspective, Coach already understands what he's done for this program and moving forward and getting recruits. I don't think we get Will Hammond without Tyler Shough. I don't, because I think they're the same body type. I think they're
They have a good relationship too.
yeah,
They've
they
talked
have a
about that.
good relationship. They're similar body types. I think we don't get Will Hammond without him. I don't think we go 8-4 without him. I don't think we get some of these other recruits from going 8-4 without him. So I think we got to realize at the end of the day, man, it's a young man, and gonna he's gonna act like it's all good, and it's not though. And so um, we just got to remember with our comments what we say and stuff like that because we talked about it on the podcast many a times. We see that stuff, man. Like we're gonna sit there and tell you, hey, we don't see that, we don't pay attention to it. Yeah, we see that stuff, and um, sometimes it hurts. It hurts your feelings, man, when you're busting your butt and it's not working out or something happened. You're going through something and you see the comments. So I think for all these people, man, they're gonna realize, and like I said, I think B Mort's gonna do a great job. Like I said, I told you I got the utmost respect for him. Got to give him his jacket this spring, so I'm a huge fan. But I think we're also gonna realize how much we miss Todd too, and the things that he's done moving forward.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. I think you have to almost change your whole offense, right? Like you can't run QB powers anymore. Like no offense to Barron Morton, you're just not as big as Tyler Shough, right? Like simple and plain, you're just not, and you don't want to put Barron in that position. Um, but no, seriously, like we're thinking about Tyler. It's just one of those situations, man, where I don't think it can go unsaid. Like I've been critical of Tyler Shough on the field, but listen, no one wants to see this happen, man. I mean, he's just been so damn unlucky when it comes to injuries. The talent's there. You could be frustrated by some of the things that he does on the field, and some of that's not him. Some of it's, the play calls, right? Like there's so many variables into this. At the end of the day, Tyler knows it. The quarterback gets the praise, he gets the blame, right? But just be a civil human being. Don't be a dick. It's not that hard, people.
Yeah.
Like the guy broke his fibula and gave everything he had to the university you care about. Don't be a dick. It's that simple, bro. It's really that simple.
Hey, and I do want to say RC2 on that is just watching Colorado this week. Colorado is a freaking phenomenal team with a lot of 5 stars, and Colorado beat the brakes off. I mean, Oregon beat the brakes off Colorado.
Yeah, they did.
And we played them to a one possession game. We were one possession away from winning. So I think y'all got to realize it does come down to those minute things, but we're in games. I know y'all saw Wyoming play Texas to the fourth quarter. It was close. So I think that people got to realize we've played some teams that are really good. Like we talked about West Virginia on this podcast and how bad they are. They might be a little better than we thought.
Yeah, no, I was wrong, Lyle. I was wrong. I can take an L. I can take an L. That's me.
They might be, but everybody, I said it, the media, like, and that's credit to them. Like I said, man, it's hard to recruit up there. And I know we always talk about Texas Tech, but being a part of that, I say Texas Tech, Lubbock is hard to recruit. Morgantown might be a little harder in that area because, like I said, we have Texas to pull from. Those cats don't get guys from Texas. Their pool is Florida, and you also got Florida State, Florida, Miami.
Sure.
No one of anybody that has the opportunity is not picking West Virginia over any of those Florida schools. So, I give credit to Neil Brown and his staff for what they do, but I just watching that Oregon and Colorado game made me realize, like, man, we're close. We're 2-3 plays away from everybody saying, "Oh man, he's the best ever. He's the greatest." 2-3 plays away each game from having the opportunity. Even West Virginia, like, place is there.
Yeah, I think that this is an interesting way to segue into really the crux of the podcast, because I think a lot of people, Lyle, are asking, and have it down on my show doc. I put the different, symbols and whatnot to not spell it out. But I think a lot of people are just asking, what the fuck is happening right now? Like, simple and plain. Like, and you're right. I want to preface everything that I'm going to rant about today to say you are 100% right, in the sense of, you can look at each game. There is max a handful of plays where, if not even all of them, but just maybe 2 or 3 go Texas Tech's way, you're looking at 3-1, maybe 4-0. But here's the thing: you're not. You're 1-3. So I think that you have to be critical in the sense of, where has Texas Tech been bad? And I think that there's a lot of places that they've been, and I don't use that word lightly. I try and look at this objectively, but there are some places where Texas Tech simply has just been bad, awful, whatever words you want to use, right? But let's lay the land here. They currently sit in last in the Big 12, them alongside Baylor, right? You were the preseason media darling. You were the dark horse for a lot of people. I mean, shoot, I'm not trying to single one guy out. There was a lot of people like him, but Brett McMurphy had you in a New Year's Six Bowl, right? Some people had you winning the Big 12, right? There was a ton of hype around this program. And again, I know multiple people have said it. Hype doesn't win football games. We all know that. But I get it from the standpoint of how Texas Tech fans are feeling, in the sense of, they feel like they might have been like bamboozled, hoodwinked, led astray, whatever you want to say in that regard, right? Like, these are the things that stand out to me, Lyle, right? Like, as it stands right now, in the areas that Texas Tech has been bad, inconsistent, you let me know where I am just totally off base and call me on my bullshit, okay?
Yes, sir.
You're going in with a backup quarterback now who is more one-dimensional than Tyler Shough. I think that that's fair to say, right?
Mhm.
Baron Morton is a better passer, but Tyler Shough allows you to do multiple things when Baron Morton maybe doesn't. He's not a statue, but you're not running QB power with him, right? So there's that. Your wide receivers can't separate. You talked about this ad nauseum. Also, when they do separate, they drop the ball a shit ton. There's that, right? Your offensive line is maybe the most overhyped unit that I have seen in my time of talking Texas Tech football. They are trash, right? It's just, again, and I don't use these words lightly, but they aren't even the most overhyped unit, I think, on this team, which is crazy. It's the pass rush. And the reason being is what Joey McGuire said to begin the year. He said at Big 12 Media Day that he thinks this pass rush is better than the one that they had last year. Lyle, they have 7 sacks in 4 games. You're a third of your way through the season. You're on pace for 21 sacks. It's garbage. I don't know where Steve Linton is. I don't know if maybe this injury that he had at the beginning of the year is lingering. I don't know, but he's vanished. And when he's on the field, he's just not a factor. He's just not, right? And I think that has a trickle-down effect to a guy like Miles Cole, who does have 2 sacks on the year, but you have to have 2 bookend guys so the defense can't single out one pass rusher, right? That's just how it is. I think when it comes down to this, Lyle, like, this team reminds me so much of 2014. And I mentioned it last year, where you think about what happened in 2013. It was Cliff's first year. They go out to California. They win the Holiday Bowl. They go 8-5. There's a ton of hype, right? They got the hire right. Cliff Kingsbury gets a massive extension, right? Joey McGuire got the same thing. They went 8-5. Do not hear what I am not saying. Like, Joey McGuire is the right guy for this program. I truly believe that, right? I do. That being said, it feels like all of the hype is biting Texas Tech in the ass, in terms of, you talked a little too much. People are out to get you. And I don't think you're in the position at this point of Joey McGuire's tenure where you can be the hunted. You need to be the huntee in this situation, because if you are the hunted, You're seeing what the hell is happening. Wyoming, they wanted all that action, boss. They handled business, right? Oregon, you're right, Lyle. Maybe it came down to a couple plays. Tyler Shough throwing that pick late. Whatever, you were in the game. But don't get it twisted. Oregon took you seriously, and Oregon in that game didn't really play all that great, in my opinion, right? You beat Tarleton, cool, whatever, right? And then West Virginia, don't get it twisted. They had this game circled, earmarked, whatever, bookmarked, whatever, right? Like this was a big game for them, specifically Neil Brown. He was 0-4 before this. He's 1-4 now, and now they're 3-1, and people are starting to talk a little bit about West Virginia, and rightfully so, right? So now you go in to Houston. You don't think Houston wants to come in here and beat your ass? Like, think about it. Donovan Smith's their starting quarterback. You don't think he's got a grudge? He's, of course, got a grudge. He thinks, oh, man, I was the best quarterback on that team last year, potentially, right? He could say that. He could say it. Is he right? I don't know, but I get it. Also, the Dana Holgerson aspect of things, right? You don't think Dana wants to stick it to Texas Tech a little bit, right? You don't think he does, right? Not to mention Houston in general, they're trying to prove they belong in the Big 12. Do I think Texas Tech wins the game? I mean, I think so. I don't know anymore, though. That's the thing, because everything that I talked about from the wide receivers, the offensive line, the pass rush have just not been good. And the crazy part is, Lyle, this is going to be taken out of context and whatever. I don't really care. This is the best secondary Texas Tech has had in a decade. This secondary is really good. Have they made a couple of mistakes here and there? Yeah. Has it cost Texas Tech a drive or two? Yes. But also, they have been on the field forever. You realize Texas Tech, and again, I know the offense likes to go fast. I get it. They have not even been remotely close in time of possession. I think like the closest they've been this year is 8.5 minutes in terms of the differential. Like, the defense is on the field a ton, right? And I think the secondary is good. There's just no pass rush whatsoever. And I'm telling you right now, if you don't fix your offensive line, your pass rush, and your wide receivers, there's only 3 guys on the offense. I know what you're about to say. There's only 3 guys on the offense I think that shouldn't have to compete for their job weekly. That's Taj Brooks, Baron Morton, and Jerron Bradley. Everybody else, if you win that week in practice, you're starting. It's that simple.
I think it should be like that for everybody. You know, I was going to say that, except for B. Morton.
I don't think you could start the true freshman, right? Like you can't start Jake Strong right now.
Nah, I think besides B. Morton, but I mean even Bradley, like that's just my humble opinion. But once again, like I always tell you, and tell the people, man, that's this offense, and so it's the same thing with Leach. Like that's why the difference was we just scored points, but you look at time possession when Coach Leach was a coach, it's 2 minutes to 10 minutes. The difference was we scored in those 2 minutes. So, like I said, I think when it comes down to it, those guys have to make plays. Kitley's got to adjust, and I always back up Kitley. I always will because I think he's dang good. I know you do too, but he's got to go make some adjustments, and he's got to do some things to kind of to bring them together to help out those guys that are struggling. But like I said, as a play caller, a dude that's called plays, as a dude that's been around it everything sounds good until you get in that situation and the quarterback has 2 seconds to throw and there's no receivers open and there's no, you know what I'm saying, you use the tight ends. Tight ends don't necessarily work if you don't have time. Like, you know, are you putting tight ends in to keep blocking? Well, cool. You put 2 tight ends in, you got a crap ton to you got
2 routes.
You got a crap ton.
Maybe 3 tops.
But I'm just saying, if your O-line ain't blocking, it defeats the purpose of putting them big, slow guys in there. You put them 2 guys in there to block. Now you only have 2 receivers. Are your receivers good enough to, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, I think that's the thing that people got to understand. He's trying. Like stuff that's coming to light that we're talking about in week 4. This man knew in week 1. He's just been trying to hide it. He's been trying to get around it. He's been trying to make things work. And like I said, man, I wish there could be a virtual game where everybody can go in there and then you say, hey, man, this is the play I want to do, and let the lineman run at you and not see your receiver open and then be like, hey, man, you got to get open. Hey, man, we got to go here. It sounds cool. But like I said, I've been in games where you know what I'm saying, I've had quarterbacks in my past where we call 5-yard stops. They blitz everybody and we throw it 10 yards over his head. And there's sometimes they got to make plays. Like I said, at the end of the West Virginia game, like I will put it money that anybody on my team, or I won't say anybody, but most of those people would have made that catch. Like the man was wide open. He's already
But
tall.
why call that there?
He's wide open.
I understand.
How tall?
Listen,
How tall is that man? How tall is he?
I understand. He's like 5'9". But Lyle, I think the big issue, and we could transition into that 3rd and 2 if you want. Like, give the fucking ball to Taj Brooks. Do it. I don't care if the defense knows. They knew that he was getting the ball the whole game after Barron was in.
Bro, the man was like, you can't call a better play than that. Like, you're a pass offense. You got everybody in there. The man's open. I could see if he was covered. The man was wide. Like, I could have caught that in 9th grade. I would have caught that ball. Like, I'm sorry. Like, 9th grade, I would have caught the ball. The game on the line, the ball in the air to tie the game. And I don't know if he jumped because it wasn't very high, but I mean, like, you cannot get mad at that man for a wide open person and drop. Like, you can't. Like, he called a perfect play. Whatever, yes, you think we should have gave it. The difference is, like, when the Seahawks played, the man wasn't open when he threw the ball. The difference was, in this case, the man was butt naked. There was not a soul on him.
Butt naked, golly.
Butt naked, bro. Like, I saw it in slow motion in my head watching the TV. I'm like, oh my gosh, what a great play. Ding. Like, bro, you can't. Because if we would have ran it with Taj and we've been talking about, oh, there were 7 people in the box. Bro, it was everybody in the box and one-on-one on the outside.
The thing is that it's like, I think the real big factor in terms of why I wanted to run it with Taj there more than anything, you were 2 for 17. 2 for 17 on 3rd down up to that point. Bro, right? Like, and again, that is not all Kitley. That is not all Kitley.
No, I'm not saying that, but what do you think West Virginia is thinking, though? That's what I'm saying.
But Taj, but you know what? He's your best player right now. You have, like, in the game-winning moments, I need to see Taj with the ball in his hands. I can live with the result afterwards.
There's freaking 8 people in the box. Taj ain't that good to run past 8 people, dog. Like, they were blitzing everybody. It was in the red zone. Anytime you're from the 10 and in, they go man coverage. They put everybody else in that box, and they try to contain. Somebody.
I might need to go find this play. Go find this play.
Go find the play. I guarantee you, it's 8 people in the box and man coverage on the receivers.
All right. While I go try to find the play, talk about what you think Texas Tech needs to change most. Because again, I think that there's obviously this isn't one faceted, right? Like there are so many things Texas Tech has to fix. But like maybe what are the top 3 you think Texas Tech has to change in order to not even get back on track, Lyle? I'm talking like just get into bowl game contention at this point.
I don't really have a top 3. I'm different than most. So like I said, I know people are going to have some stuff to say, which is cool. But for me, I don't necessarily think they need to change anything, because when you get to changing, when you get to try to do different stuff, that's when it gets worse and worse. You have to do what you were you got to make your tweaks, of course, in there, but you got to do what you're going to do. So we're a pass offense. We cannot change that in mid and start trying to run it 80% of it. That's not how Kitley is wired. That's not what he's thinking. That's not how he runs. He has to be himself, and we understood that when we got him. He's going to pass the ball. So he's got to stay true to himself. I think defensively, they got to stay true. They've done good. We've had some mistakes, but I think they both got to stay true to what they're doing, find guys that can make the plays. And I think that's the big thing. If we can find one guy to help the DM make plays, I think that makes a big difference, because our secondary is good. If we could find a linebacker to get in there and make those plays, I know we've had a couple injured. Maybe when they come back, it changes things a little bit. But it's just those guys, they got to kind of grow up a little bit. Some of these guys, yes, they're old, but I don't know how much experience they really have. And like I said, I told you a long time ago, it's different when you're the man and you're not the man. And I felt Bradley's done a pretty good job, but now everybody has an eye on him. And it's different when everybody has the eye on you and not on someone else. So like I said, those other dudes have got to help him out and do a better job, but he's also got to make them continue to double him. And I don't know if I necessarily feel like if I'm a DC, I would double any of our receivers, honestly. And
nor should you.
But I'm just saying, we talk. That's why I said every position should be up for grabs. Now, if we're sitting here talking about, well, now we better get somebody over the top to help, cool, safe. But there ain't one person out there that I felt like, they respected. Like even the DBs at West Virginia, I honestly felt like they did not respect our receivers at all. And
Mhm.
it pissed me off to see how they were playing because they were small guys. I mean, they were really good, but they were small guys. And I don't know, man, just the overall mentality, like DBs making plays, doing all this in front of our face. I don't know. It's just, to me, it's a mentality thing right now. I think offensively, those guys got to come together, and it's got to be important to them. Like the ball's in the air, it's got to be important to them. And I think that's the biggest difference between each team is just how important is it to you. Like it was, you'd see Graham, you go back and look, Graham cussed me out so many times for dropping the ball, and I very rarely drop the ball. I mean, Crab could get it, Danny could get it, anybody could get it. And it was just a mentality of like, dude, you better not drop the ball. And for one, you don't want to hear Graham's mouth. For two, you care enough. Not to say that these kids don't care. I know they care a crap ton because it's their lives. But it was just important, man. Like I didn't want to drop the ball to let down my teammates. I didn't want to not get open because I knew Crabtree had 4 people on him. So I mean, it's one of those type responsibilities. I think they're on the right track, man, and we got to realize it's McGuire's second year, and so
Yeah.
being a head coach, just being my third year, it's tough. And like I said, to come in the first year and win 8 games is tough. Is super tough. So I don't think people understand and realize how tough it is, and to hype it up, like y'all got to understand that's his job. His job is to hype up Texas Tech. Like if he doesn't hype up Texas Tech, we wouldn't get that 5-star receiver. We wouldn't get the new buildings coming up. It's his job to hype it up. So people got to understand, like that's his job. You come talk to me, I'm gonna hype up Leveland to the max. You'll think that we're Texas Tech Junior over here. Like
Yeah.
that's my job. I'm going to hype it up. I'm going to take every blame that we lose, and I'm going to hype it up and tell you how great our program is because kids see that on social media. And if he's not promoting right now and he's not hyping it up, and we're 1-3, who the hell is gonna come to Lubbock,
Sure.
Texas to play? So I think you know, I think that he's different, and I think it can come back to bite you when you do that. But I think it's a part of the game. I think if Leach would have did that back in the day, I think we would have had all kind of 5 stars. And like I said, I think I would have never got to play, but he didn't. Like Leach didn't hype it up. Leach
Yeah.
just left it as is. And I think that nowadays in the day and age, you got to kind of hype up your team. You got to make them think. You got to make recruits say, "Dang," you know, like you got to do that type stuff in order to get kids with this new day and age, man.
Yeah. I could not find the highlight because West Virginia did not have it in the highlight package. So there we go.
Is a full game
Uh,
not on there?
yeah, no, it's not on there yet. I guess they don't put that out till Monday. So we just barely missed it. But the play in question was Nehemiah Martinez going
Mm-hmm.
out into the flat and everything. Um, I mean, again, man, I get it. I think there was 7 guys in the box. I really truly do understand it. And I know that I'm backtracking a little bit because you brought up some good points about what McGuire has to do and everything like that from the why Texas Tech fans feel bamboozled or something like that, you know. I think for me, Lyle, it's just one of those things where on the Joey McGuire front, again, I think he's the guy for the job. I don't think anybody should be questioning that. Now, has he made some mistakes this year that are just bad? Yeah, and I guarantee you the first person to tell you that would be Joey McGuire, right? I did see some, at least a little bit of changes from the things that they had done bad. The problem was they did other things that they were doing okay, awful against West Virginia. And really what that was going into the West Virginia game, I thought outside of really about maybe 4 plays through the first 3 games of the year, Lyle, that the inside of the offensive line for Texas Tech was playing solid. I thought they were okay, right? Were they living up to the hype? No, but they were playing okay, right? Against West Virginia, they just got absolutely abused. They did. They just got abused. There were a couple of times where Rusty Stats just whiffed more than my fan in the bedroom at night. Okay. My God, he whiffed so much. We could have just saved so much on the AC bill, right? But at the same time, you got to give credit to West Virginia. That's actually the strength of their team. I had a guy that really follows them, Coos. You can go back and watch the video. The first thing he brought up to me about West Virginia was the defensive line. He felt that was their best position group. And to be honest, he was spot on, right? they were coming in waves. It wasn't just their starters. They had a couple of guys coming in there and really slowing Tech down. Now, the crazy part is coming into the year, I was worried if this Texas Tech offensive line could run block. I think that's all they can do now. I don't think they're good at pass blocking at all. I really don't. And so, again, that's why I think every spot on that offensive line, every week for the rest of the year, should be up for grabs. I don't care if you're Cole Spencer in your 7th year of college football. I don't care if you're Rusty Stats and what you did in Conference USA. Earn it. You got to earn it at this point now. And again, Lyle likes to say there's levels to this, right? We talked about this with multiple players before. There's levels coming from Conference USA to Big 12 football. There's levels to this, right? From the FCS to the Big 12. I think everybody knows that, but sometimes I think when people see these portal guys come to Texas Tech, they think right away, oh, they're going to live up to their potential. Oh, they're going to be exactly what I think they are. If we're looking at this realistically, maybe 40%. No, that's too high. Maybe 30% of guys that you get from the transfer portal hits, right? Like that's just the reality of it. And so when you look at what Texas Tech has right now, I just think you got to almost, especially with Baron Morton now, right? Like you kind of almost in a way, all right, you're 1-3. You're almost double-digit favorites against Houston. By the way, the remaining schedule for Texas Tech is at the bottom line, are on the bottom line right now. But you're almost double-digit favorites against Houston. That is mind-boggling to me. Man, if I'm Houston, that's bulletin board material in every freaking aspect of the.
I don't know how, brother.
I don't either.
You lost to Rice is not bulletin board material. It's real life material. Yeah. Rice is boo-boo.
Yeah, I get it, but the way Texas Tech has played 3 out of their 4 games on a long-term basis.
Wyoming would beat Rice by 21 points.
Maybe. That's probably fair.
There's no doubt about it, brother.
Like, here's the thing. Texas Tech should beat Houston. There's no doubt about that in my mind. I still think they should have beat West Virginia. And they should have beat Wyoming, right? Like, they should have. We're talking about should-haves now. I don't think it matters anymore. I think you have to see tangible changes to damn near every position group on this roster, maybe outside of the secondary, who I think has actually played pretty good outside of 2 or 3 penalties that have really cost Tech, right? But from a position group as a whole, they've had to play at an elite level for stretches because you're getting no pass rush. So you're just having to cover for 2 or 3 extra seconds that you're not expecting to, right? So, and that's difficult to do. I mean, as a wide receiver, like if somebody, it's difficult to cover a wide receiver for 3 seconds, let alone 6.
Absolutely.
Right. And they're doing that multiple times a game. And so I think that there's something to be said for that. But again, I think this is one of those weeks, man, where you have to go in if you're Texas Tech, clean slate. That's it. Just clean slate outside of maybe 3 positions on offense. We can agree to disagree on Bradley and whatnot. But I think, again, Bradley, Brooks, and Morton, those are the only 3 guys that you clearly are the starter at your position. Everybody else, earn that shit. It's that simple for me.
No, I agree with you, man. And like I said, you got to have a clean slate as a coach when there's nothing you can do. You can't go back. You make your corrections and move forward. You can't live on the past and dwell on the past. So I think they go with a clean slate. I think they try some new stuff. I think Kit, has to try some new stuff and try to get those be more to feel comfortable. But like I said, man, it's one of those things. We talked about it kind of on that space, man. Kitley can give the game, and I know we kind of talked about it, and you were like, hey, or can't you knock down his options to where he only has one option? You can. But like I said, as watching it limits you for what's going on because, like I said, you set up, you see something, they switch, they make an adjustment, they make an audible. If you don't have anything other on than that, then you're gonna, and teams kind of know, you line up in this certain formation. This is your tendency. This is what you like to do. So sometimes they have a good read on through their scouting reports and what they got going on. So you got to have that. At the high school level, there's 2. We limit ours to 2 reads, sometimes 3. But, that's just you've been doing that for a long time. So it comes down to those guys making a decision and the right decision. We watch it all the time. You look at the teams that's leading in the NFL with the records. They have the best quarterbacks. That's why the Chiefs have won the last it comes down to quarterback. And
also 70 yesterday?
Yeah.
70?
Yeah. Well, I take that back. He's the only one that
That boy crazy.
he got some good
Mike
people around him.
Mike McDaniel, I think 2 is good, but Mike McDaniel, man, that's the best offensive mind in football right now from at the NFL. I mean, my
You
goodness.
think so?
I think it helps when he got Tyreek and Jalen
I was
Waddle,
about to say,
but they
okay,
also only had Tyreek yesterday. Like, I mean,
bro, but
some of
they
the
have the running back, what's his name? He's ultra fast. Then they have the backup, number 28. I know you saw him run past all them.
who are you talking about? Devon A-Chain, or are you talking about Raheem Mostert?
Both. They're
Both,
both
yeah. Well,
97
that's what their
speed
team.
on Madden, bro.
Like, in a perfect world, and I'm glad we actually. I didn't mean to transition to this, like, but I think that's what Texas Tech wants to do. Like, if you watch what Miami does, that's what they want to do. The problem is, there's only one Tyreek Hill. There's only one Jalen Waddle. You know what I mean? Like, you can't find
Bro,
those guys.
but no, every position they're faster. Did you forget the running backs? Taj is
No, no,
good.
no.
He's
That's
not
what I
running
think.
it that fast.
I think that's why Texas Tech is really prioritizing speed recruiting wise. Like, again, do not hear what I'm not saying. You are not going to recruit and find a Tyreek Hill. Like, you're just not, right? Like, there's only one of those boys out there. But I think that if you want to see the offense that Texas Tech wants to try and run, that's it, right?
I will say too, man, it's a fine line. The fastest people that I know usually can't catch, but there's a couple. You know,
Yeah,
Jakeem is one that came through and did that thing, but it's very rare.
sure.
Jalen, Tyreek, but other than that, there's not that many super like Goodwin. He drops the ball a lot. He's fast. Jalen Rager, super fast, drops the ball a lot.
Shout out
Like,
to Justin Jefferson at 22, right?
hey, you know what I'm saying? So I just think that's a fine line. Like people want to do
Sure.
that. Speed kills. I 100% get that. But like either you could play or you can't. There's football speed and there's track speed.
Yep.
And to me, track speed sometimes doesn't always correlate to football speed. Now, does it sometimes? Heck yeah. Is it good? Heck yeah. But I play with a lot of dudes that come up there super fast, running past people and drop it every time. So I just think it's one of those things. Like I said, man, I think Tyreek is a generational type receiver,
Agreed.
and I owe him an apology because I said no from the get go. I was hating, and I was
He's
like, nah,
crazy,
he's
bro.
just fast. And but he's like to me, and don't get
He's
me
the
wrong.
most unguardable player in football right now.
Right, and I think that, I think that Daniels is a great mind, a very smart mind, but it's one of those things to me, it changed, like with Link got Caleb Miller, like, he's a
Oh,
great
Caleb
play
Williams.
caller.
Yeah.
I mean, Williams, sorry, but he's a great play caller, but it also makes it a lot easier. I seen him
Yeah.
last game, run in, run out, spin around, come back in, run back, and throw the ball. That is not the play call that he called. So I just think like these guys are great minds, but it's easy to be a great mind when you have those guys around. Like I can do
Sure.
these same plays. It ain't gonna work like that here. And I
Yeah.
think in a situation that's where to me the biggest thing is like you still gotta think of that. Still got to make it work. Still got to put it together. But like that's my biggest thing is coaching. When I see guys at Tyreek Hill, and they're doing great stuff, but I mean you're running jet sweeps and he's taking it to the house. So I
Sure.
mean, yeah, you got to be smart enough to do that. But it helps when you got a guy
Yeah.
that can,
No doubt. No doubt.
yeah,
I mean, when he's running 4.24 or whatever he's running,
yeah,
like,
bro. When they're 20
like,
yards off and you're still running by them, like, bro,
yeah.
this is
Yeah.
grown men that do this for a living. Like,
Yeah. No, and again, I'm not saying Texas Tech is trying to replicate it to a T, but I
right.
do think that that's like, hey, there's some good things that they can take there. I will say this.
But Dre,
'Cause
we
I've
talk
been,
about, and sorry to cut you off, but we talk about Dre. Like Dre, super fast. It's super fast.
yeah, he's not doing what Tyreek's doing though.
And that's my point. Like
Yeah,
he's
he's not.
fast, but
But he can't. Like, and again, this is not throwing shade at Dre. There's only one Tyreek Hill.
right.
Like, there's only one Jalen Waddle. Right.
That's
Like,
true.
there's only one of these guys, and it just so happens that 2 of the one of a kinds are on the same team.
Yeah, that's
Right. And
true.
so it's like you can try and mimic some of those things, which I wish Kitley would to some degree mimic some of those things, but also at the same time, it's like, okay, there's only so much you can do in terms of mimicking. Sometimes just you got to go out there, and if you can't do it, you can't do it. That being said, I do want to give Kitley a little bit of credit because I've been critical of him over the past about 48 hours. I love the way that he used the tight ends on Saturday. And what I mean by this is I'm a you know what for a good motion. I am a you know what for motion. I love it. But I love it even more when you know that your offensive line sucks and you get a behemoth moving to the run side that you're going towards, and you get a moving blocker, and you get a guy that's 6'9", 6'8", 6'4" in Henry Teeter's case, right? And you use him as an extra blocker with momentum, right? I love that, right? I also love it from the standpoint of now people are going to have to game plan for that. And when they do, put it into the RPO type setting, right? Fake handoff to Taj, sidearm from Barron, because we know Barron loves to throw sidearm, out into the flat for the tight end. Boom, that could be a potential third down play you use from now on in a situation where maybe the box is loaded, right? You have these options now. I like how he was using the tight ends against West Virginia. I wish, or I hope I should say, that he continues to use them like that, because I do think that that's where they're best at in the current state of the offensive line. I think you kind of have to use them like that in a way. But I just love the motion aspect of things from the tight end position, respectively. I wish that Dre McCray would be used in motion a little bit more. Maybe Miles Price, he's battling some injuries and stuff like that. But I do think from the one thing that really stood out where I was like, oh, that's genius from Kitley in terms of trying to hide one of the flaws, right, was putting a tight end at 6'9", 270 in motion, going towards the side that they're running the football on and having momentum to run into a blocker. Because, listen, I don't know about you, Lyle. I don't care how damn big I am. If I see a guy that's 6'9", 270 running at me with 4.7 speed, I'm not going to enjoy myself. And so I think that that's kind of a good thing to see. And I think that it could help translate into things where, I'm it's back to the chalkboard or drawing board or whatever the hell you want to say. But I think that you could put it in like something where it's like, okay, if you put the RPO installment for this respective play, right, where you put the tight end in motion, let's just say you got Mason Tharp going from left to right, right? Also, I wish Kitley would use more of the from inside out instead of the motion where it's outside in. I think that could really open things up as well for Texas Tech. But that's a different story. Stick to the tight ends. Sorry. Move him from right to left to right, and you fake the handoff to Taj, right? I think the perfect route would be Jerron Bradley on the slant there too, because, again, my favorite routes are specifically for a guy like Barron Morton, where he's got a little bit of experience, but not much. He's still a young quarterback in the grand scheme of things, right? I like it when you have a wide receiver straight across his vision. Like, you can't miss that guy. You can't miss him, right? And I think Bradley for a slant, you roll out Tharp on the fake block where he just kind of maybe nudges the guy in. So I guess it would be Rodgers on the right side. And then you have a guy out in that safety valve right there. And then Taj Brooks stays in line to be that extra blocker for you. Boom, you got a couple of combinations there that really allow you to use multiple aspects of your offense and, more importantly, multiple parts of the field, which I think Texas Tech has struggled with. And again, this is just one way to look at it. I understand that there's levels to this, like we talked about, but I would love to see that if you're Texas Tech, just for the sheer standpoint. Again, I think that's where Texas Tech really needs to focus, because you're not going to have time, as the offensive line is constructed right now, to go much deeper than 10, maybe 12 yards down the field, right? Like on a consistent basis. So you're going to have to get creative a little bit in terms of that movement pre-snap with your tight ends, with going from inside out with your wide receivers to create a little bit of movement, like almost like arena football, right? Did you ever watch arena football where they could run to the line? Like that was always bonkers to me. But they did it, and it was a lot of fun to watch. I miss arena football, man. On NBC on the afternoons. I'm digressing here. Anyway, I would love to see that kind of stuff. And I think, again, it's very elementary, but I also think from the standpoint of where Texas Tech is right now, again, going back to the drawing board, I don't think it can be expressed enough. Go back to the basics, go back to that elementary type football, and just trying to get any advantage you can by simply moving guys as much as possible that way. Because, again, if a guy moves with you, it's probably man. Not always, but probably. And then if he doesn't move, it's like, okay, it's probably zone. Again, not always, but most of the time. And I think with Barron Morton going in, and now he's going to be the quarterback for the rest of the year, those little helps for him and those little tells that the defense give him could go a long way.
I think you're right. I think two things about that, though. understanding too is what we call in the coaching world is a play too expensive, meaning how much time
Sure.
do you have to spend to do that? You talked about B Mort being a young quarterback, where you add 10 motions where you got a motion in, you got them
He's
going
got to
through the
look at 10
plays.
different things
He's
now.
got to look
Yep.
at 10 different things. So
Hmm.
that's what I'm saying. That's the part of it. It sounds good, but I'm sure that in practice, if
Did it
Kitley
sound good
does,
though, Lyle? Did
it
it
did
sound good
sound
coming?
really good.
Thank
I
you. Thank you.
mean, it
Yeah. I
sounds. I
practiced
like
that in the mirror this morning for everybody that needed to know
Hey,
that.
I like it. It is, and it
Thank you.
sounds
Thank
it
you. Got to go
sounds
run it in
good.
Madden later tonight.
But he may have him do it in practice, and the first time he may do it, it may be too much for him. So then
Sure.
it gets to the point of how expensive is that play? Do you want to continue to get better at what you have in, what he knows, or do you want to add and do that? And it's kind of like for me, when I first got into coaching, with Coach Leach mesh, I was like, I love mesh. And Coach Leach was like, man, that's an expensive play. And I used to laugh like, yeah, right. It's expensive. Meaning you have to do that every single day. And we did
Well, it's
not.
timing. That's all mesh is.
It's
It's
time.
timing.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's like people don't realize when we did that with Leach, it was before practice, it was during practice, it was after practice, it was in the mornings, it was, what I'm saying? As a high school coach, I don't have that time. So we install mesh on Monday and then we may get to do it again on Wednesday. That ain't enough. Like if you want to be a
Yeah.
mesh team in high school, it's got to be before school, during school, after
Yeah.
school. And so my only thing is like if he can do it, I think like what you're saying it on a serious note, I think it's really good. It's just the question is it too expensive for them? You talk about the O line not being very good. What does that do to the O line? When we move
Sure.
someone in, the O line then has to start making calls. Hey, out, 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 in. I got him. I got him. So I just think it comes down to how expensive are those plays that you're trying to add, and how much can Kitley add? So we want him to do that stuff, but the question comes down to maybe he felt like we're doing too much already, and
Yeah.
that's why Shut's been struggling because we're doing too much. And yeah, it's elementary. I agree. Like having to run RPO where he's running slant, yeah, that be maybe one of those things that he could add. But I just think it's just asking how expensive are those plays? How smart is B Mort? I don't know. How smart was Shut? Like I thought Shut was super smart. I don't know because I'm not out there on those play calls. So,
Yeah, with
uh,
them every day. Yeah, kind of deal.
you know what I'm saying? Because they've got to tell the O-line if there's a blitz
Sure.
coming, they tell them to go left, they tell them to go right. If there's someone coming off the edge, sometimes they got to tell receivers and running backs where to go. So, I think with running the offense, how fast Kit wants to do it, I think some of that stuff comes down to even penalties. I think it's because we go so fast and we just don't have, I would say, I don't want to say mature enough or experienced enough or that feel comfortable enough. And we have those mistakes sometimes because we're moving so fast. And I think sometimes for the quarterbacks, even for Shed, I felt like the game was moving fast. I felt like towards the end last year, the game kind of slowed down for him.
Yeah.
But I felt like moving forward this year, the game's moving kind of fast. And then I feel like for B Mort, when he gets in there, the first couple series, he's going to move kind of fast. And
Oh,
so,
it did. It moved so fast. That was the first thing I noticed. I was like, "Oh, this game is really fast to Baron Morton right now. Like
yeah.
really fast."
And so I just think like that's the hard part for Kit. Kit's at a kind of at a cap. And like I said, I know everybody thinks I just defend Kit. There's a lot of stuff Kit could do better, without a doubt. But like I said, I understand having a young quarterback. I understand like there's a cap depending on how good your quarterback is. And I can't explain that enough from Graham Harrell. He called 99% of those play calls. He would change it. The next year, Taylor Potts, my brother, my ace. You know what I'm saying? He didn't change every play. He did what Mike Leach told him to do. And so there's variations to your quarterback and the knowledge and the confidence and the level that they have. It's just, like Caleb Williams. I'm pretty sure he changes the play quite often. He do what he wants to, and he makes it successful. Same with our Kansas quarterbacks. And I know I'm naming the top quarterbacks in the country,
Sure.
but I'm just saying the quarterback is the number one position. And I can't explain this to everybody enough. Those guys have to make it doesn't matter what play you call, those guys have to come through. And that's what it comes down to. The best record we've ever had was with Graham Harrell. Graham Harrell is the best quarterback we've ever had in Texas Tech history. So they go hand in hand. I think
Ooh,
people
even over Patty. Okay.
Huh? Oh, yeah,
Even
that's
over
true. But I'm saying, like, when
you may be
skill-wise.
biased though. You may be
No, no,
biased. I mean,
no, no, I agree Patty's better. There's no doubt
if
about that.
if you were talking about winning,
Yeah, yeah,
100%.
I'm talking about
100% though.
winning percentage, you know what I'm
100%.
saying? And
Yeah.
so I just think, like, they're further along in their career, like, in college, I think Graham was better than Patty. In the NFL, Patty's 100 times better than
Oh, I
Graham.
mean, Yeah,
You know
for
what I'm
sure.
saying? But if you're
Sure.
looking at college, you're looking at what they did. Graham had a better career in college. He did more. He won more. He had better stats. Granted, he had some better people on his team,
Yeah,
but
I was about to say he had a lot better people like
he had
yourself
some better
around
people
him.
on his
But
team.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I'm just saying, like, you know, like
sure,
those wins, the times we've been successful, you have to have a good quarterback at the end of the day. So
sure.
I think we have a good quarterback, but it's a lot on their shoulders. And so I wish, like I said, I really do wish that everybody could just go sit back there one time, just one play.
No, I'm
And
good,
so
Lyle. I'm good.
and so everybody could say, oh, he's telling the O-line, oh, he's telling the receiver, oh, it's a 290-pound man in his face at 6'3", probably yelling some not nice things. So it's a hard position. I think it comes down, honestly, the rest of the season, you ask me, it comes down to B. Morton, and that's what it comes down to. Guys got to make plays, and they got to help him. But at the end of the day, he's got to make good decisions, and we kind of talked about it. There's some decisions that Ty made that didn't help us be successful. And I think like one or two of those plays we don't make, it makes a difference.
Who
So you look
knows?
at the
Yeah, who knows
turnover
for sure.
battle, that type stuff. Team with the least turnovers usually wins the game. So I think it comes down to that quarterback's position, how they protect the ball, and how Kit's able to work with them. And those guys got to understand too. A young quarterback coming in, they gotta make plays for that man. If it's in the air, you have to make plays for that man. O-line's got to sell out and give 110% to protect that man. So I just think he's one of those deals, man. It could be really good, or it could be really shaky. So it just depends. But good thing we have Houston this week. I think this is a game that he can get back on track and kind of feel comfortable. And he's not
Sure.
coming in playing Texas. You know, I think if this is Texas week he comes into play, it might change his mindset moving forward to these games, coming in game one, starting, and maybe
Yeah.
getting,
It feels like West Virginia last year. Remember when Barron started at home and they won like 48-10 or something?
yeah,
Like, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but this is an easier landing spot than what you were talking about for sure. And I'm interested. Let us know down in the comments below how many games will Texas Tech football win this season. Again, 1-3. Your remaining schedule. You've got Houston, obviously, this week at Baylor, then Kansas State. October 21st, you go out to Provo, you face BYU. Then you got TCU on a Thursday night after your bye. You go to Lawrence to play the Jayhawks. Then you have your last home game of the year. It's senior night against UCF. And then on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, you head down and you face the Longhorns, who look like a potential college football playoff team right now. Let's call a spade a spade. Like,
they won't
they
be,
look,
brother. They
well,
won't be.
they may not, but right now they look like one. Let's just say what it is right now. Maybe they ruin it later on, but right now you got to give them, you got to tip your cap a little bit. They look good.
Without a doubt.
That is for sure. I think the couple of things real quick before we head out of here. Again, we talked about it a little bit. Offensive line has to be better, plain and simple, if Texas Tech wants to get better. Disciplined football, right? They talk about the brand, the hardest working, most disciplined team in America, right? Simple and plain, you haven't been disciplined to start this season. You haven't been. And that goes for both sides of the ball, defense, offense, and even special teams to some degree. You have not been disciplined. You have to be better, and you have to cut out those bad penalties, right? Pass rush. Where the fuck are you? Like,
Yeah.
where are you at? Like 7 sacks in 4 games? What are we doing, right? Like, what are we doing? This was one of the most hyped up units by Joey McGuire to start the season, and you have 7 sacks in 4 games. Not going to cut it. Your secondary is far too good for you to be that much of a wasteland on the defensive line outside of Hutchings and Bradford, who I think have actually played really well this year. The problem is teams are like, oh, well, we're just going to double team one of them and hedge block the other, and we don't really have to worry about a pass rush now for Texas Tech. And then lastly, Taj Brooks, it's time. Give him the ball a lot. He's averaging almost 7 yards a carry. Do I think that that's going to maintain? No. But I do think he's going to average at least 5 yards a carry. And as it stands right now, he's currently on pace, Lyle, to have a top 10 rushing season in Texas Tech history. He's on pace for over 1,200 yards. And if he does that, he will be a top 10 running back in terms of total rushing yards in program history. Do I think he gets to 1,200? No, probably not, if I'm being honest. But 1,000, I think that's well within reach for Taj Brooks. Feed the man, use him in a way that you can get other people more space, the RPO action, and just make Baron Morton's life easier. I I think that that's really what it comes down to. He is the best playmaker on your team right now. Use him that way to make Baron Morton's life easier. All right, Lyle, let's head out of here, man. We've been talking enough. Nobody wants to hear me talk anymore. Where can they'll listen to you all day. I just want to point that out there, but not me. Not me, that's for sure. Where can the people find you on social media, my guy?
You can find me at Coach LLEONG. And for the man that gets the Twitter space popping more than anybody I know.
Man, yeah, there was 500 people in there when that thing went to shit on Saturday again. You can follow me at RCMB323. This is a therapy session. That's what that is for me. This is what this is for you as well. I feel like, too, just get things off your chest that only Tech fans can understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Only Tech fans can understand. And you bring a unique viewpoint where it's like, hey, I'm not speaking for you here, but this is kind of how I interpret it. Calm the fuck down, people. We'll be all right. We'll be all right. We'll be all right.
Hey,
maybe that's not what Lyle meant, but that's what I got.
Man. Trust the process.
There we go. Well, I don't know. I'm not a Joel Embiid guy. Give me Nikola Jokic all day, baby. All day on that front. He's Lyle. I'm RC. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button for free Texas Tech football videos daily. We're giving you game previews, keys to the game, film breakdown, behind enemy lines with guys that cover the other team that Texas Tech is playing that week. You're going to want to listen to that. And yeah, I guess Lyle's here too. That one's pretty cool. Just kidding. That's probably the coolest part. I'm RC Maxfield. Again, like the video, subscribe, and stay in the know on Texas Tech football all year long right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel.